Hello, Chicago. The Bears may be running scared from the 2024 NFL playoffs, but you are fearlessly tackling your Monday and looking to better Bears days ahead. With the voice of Chicago sports fan, welcome to a mega Monday Night Football edition of Chicago Sports Podcast, Monsters of the Madhouse. We're your guys, Brandon Trex Hyatt, Darius Lockhart, Dustin Jones, and Brandon Duplessis. We are proud to be brought to you by the best sponsorship in the podcast game, Underdog Fantasy, Chris Chelios, El Bandito, Yankee Tequila, Bridges Scoreboard, TC's World of Wonders, Budget Cars, Serendipity Ice Cream Parlor, Worst Stadium Club, and Elite Icons Framing and Sports Memorabilia, Avenue 912, and Set 'em Up Lanes. Our guest tonight is a Swiss Army knife of a football player and sports journalist. He was a human pass breakup machine who manned a lockdown island while also delivering electrifying Pro Bowl return work for
Antoinette.
For every somebody's calling me.
Is
Hold
it
on
Brian Urlacher?
No. All right. He was a human pass breakup machine who manned a lockdown island while also delivering electrifying Pro Bowl return work for 7 seasons with the Chicago Bears. On and off the field, he was all heart and true grit, winning the Brian Piccolo Award his rookie season. Since his retirement, he's brought Bears Nation and expert players respective on Fox Chicago's Bears post-game coverage and has appeared weekly on Fox Chicago's Good Day Chicago. You can catch his insights on his hit podcast, To the Points with Jerry Azumah, where Jerry breaks down the NFL's hottest matchups and discusses his weekly betting strategy. Azumah breaks down primetime NFL matchups and discusses his weekly betting strategy. The podcast is available for free on all streaming platforms. Please welcome to the Madhouse, Jerry Azumah. Jerry, how you doing, buddy?
What's up, fellas? That was pretty damn amazing. What an intro.
Good job, phone call. I'm about ready to open a can with that person. Unbelievable. They know better too, man. That's been happening a lot lately, man.
Is that polls? Who's that calling you?
Yeah.
Might be flus.
Might be.
Jerry, we have so much to talk about with you about the Bears' chaotic season here. But let's take Doc's Brown DeLorean to where Jerry Azumah football story starts. As a first-generation American, you had a vibrant life story. What led your parents, who were natives of Ghana, to the United States, Jerry?
Right. So started way back in the day. My parents are from Ghana, West Africa. And my father's just basically in search of a better life and wanted to get an education outside of Africa. And he knew one person from his small little village that landed in the States, and he was in Oklahoma. So my father came over first, and he settled in Oklahoma. And then later on, a few years later, he had me. So that's basically where it all started for me. And the love of like football started with, me being in Oklahoma and me playing in a cul-de-sac with a bunch of guys that like I grew up with, just tossing the football around. And we just had a real love of the game.
That's awesome, man. That's a great story, man. That takes us all back to like our grassroots where we started, you know what I mean? And it's like the same thing that Brian was talking about when we had him on. He was talking about, tackling in the streets, tackling in the grass and all this stuff. And it's just it's cool where you go back to your grassroots of where it all started and the love for the game. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Oklahoma was definitely the spot. I mean, it's the football mecca. You know, it's the number one sport that like I played as a kid. I was introduced to it at a very early age. I actually got lucky because a couple of guys, they were actually friends. Their parents were friends with Barry Switzer at the time. So we would get tickets to go to the OU games back when they were, you know, incredible back in the, you know, the mid to late 80s. So when I first got to those stadiums, man, I was just like, this is absolutely incredible. And we were in the block. We even got, you know, pictures of Boz in the locker room and things like that. So, you know, I was looking around the stadium like, you know what, this is going to be my life one day. I definitely have to do this.
Yeah, man, that's a hell of a story too. Your parents, you know, making that journey, that couldn't have been an easy journey. I can't imagine, you know, relocating your entire life to a new place that you've never been to. Well, you know, one person that moved to one place in the United States.
I don't know if I would have did that.
Yeah, that takes a lot of courage. That leads me to this question: like, what in your household from your family was instilled in you because of that strength and that courage that you were able to bring to your NFL career?
Yeah, I mean, I always, you know, my parents are my biggest idols, you know, especially my father. You know, he was very courageous, went out on a limb. He's like one of 12 kids. So came over to America, established himself, and just wanted a better life for his family and his kids. And he did everything that he possibly could to achieve that. And basically gave us everything that we could possibly imagine to make sure that our lives would be successful one day. And everything is paying off. So appreciate that, Pops.
Yeah. It's amazing.
That's what's up. I just want to thank you again, and on behalf of the four of us and everybody watching, for giving us your time tonight. For sure, man. Very cool. Pleasure to meet you. I want to know, is on a broader sense, is there an age, but more specifically, is there like an exact moment that you feel that you fell in love with this sport of football?
Right. Well, being that my parents are from Ghana, West Africa, you know, they were big into soccer. You know, soccer was the number one sport. So my father, I remember I was 6 years old. He rolled me a soccer ball. I picked it up. I started hitting people. And that's when we found out that, you know what, we need to try football. So as soon as the football got into my hands, man, I just instantly fell in love with it. Like I said, all my friends that lived in that area were big time football players. And if they weren't playing football, then they were wrestling. So doing something very aggressive. And I just fell in love with it. I was always the smaller kid, but I was also tough and I was fast. And I used those two things to my ability and to my advantage. And it started to work out. So I remember playing, you know, Pop Warner football at a very young age. And, you know, back in Oklahoma, like there was no like 7-on-7 or flag football or anything like that. We were just full on pads. And I was basically a Friday night tyke. So, you know, as a little kid, I mean, we would have, you know, a few hundred people at our football game. So it was very serious business back then. And I took it serious. But, you know, at the same time, I was just having fun. And, you know, like I love to have fun and play football with basically the guys that were in my neighborhood. So that's basically how it all started. My father was really pushing the whole soccer ball thing.
You would have been racking up a lot of yellow and red cards. You would have been racking up a lot of red cards in soccer, it sounds like.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah.
That's all right. MJ didn't play baseball.
He tried.
It's crazy too, because like I didn't really venture off to any other sports. Like football was it for me. And being a running back was the only thing that I was just in love with. And then on top of that, you know, my father started to get into the love of football, seeing me play. And then we used to watch it on TV a lot too. So we used to actually get the Chicago Bears games, obviously the Dallas Cowboys, but we also got a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers games too. So growing up, I was a Chicago Bear fan, a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, just because we got to see them on TV. And my father was deeply in love with those two teams. And, you know, we also had this guy by the name of Walter Payton. And he's like my idol. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be exactly like him. That's what made me become a running back, you know, way back in the day. So it all worked out. It all came together, and it's pretty exciting.
Well, I'm wearing their shirt for you, buddy.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah. Yes,
I got one thing in common with Walter. Well, two, my love for the Bears and my love for Wheaties. I tried to eat Wheaties so I could be like Walter, but it didn't work out. I just got bigger.
A lot of carbs.
That night looked silly. With that freaking headband. It was like, take that thing off. It didn't work out for me.
Hey, Jerry, what's going on, man?
What's up, man?
Again, thanks for being here with us tonight. Yeah. Worcester, Massachusetts. Did I say that correctly?
Worcester.
Okay.
Yeah, Worcester.
Worcester, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
St. Peter Marian High School.
Yeah.
You took your game to another level, winning the Central Massachusetts Division II championship.
Yeah.
Is that when you realized that you wanted to take your game and take a shot at the NFL?
So for me, I've always had the love of football, like I said, in Oklahoma. And then when I was 12 years old, that's when we moved to, Massachusetts. So I continued on my football career there. I played like Pop Warner in junior high. And then when I got to high school, we were a powerhouse football team with St. Peter Marian. Mm-hmm. So obviously I was a running back, and, as a powerhouse high school, we had an abundance of a lot of really good running backs and a lot of good talent. And the coach at that time just basically wanted to play the upperclassmen and didn't really play the younger classmen. You just kind of had to wait your turn, especially if we were stacked at that certain position. So we were stacked at running back, and I always believed in myself. I always had faith and trust in myself. I wasn't necessarily looking like, okay, I'm going to go to the NFL or anything like that. I just wanted to just showcase my talents and my abilities and have a good time doing it. You know what I'm saying? It's just for the love. And wasn't even thinking about college or anything like that. And then I got to a point where obviously they weren't playing me, but we were still winning on varsity. And I was on junior varsity, and I just didn't really feel comfortable playing junior varsity. I just felt like I was just too good for that, and I should have been starting on varsity. So I basically just kind of sat the bench, and just kind of waited my turn. And then my senior year, I knew that all the guys that were before me had left, and then this is my big opportunity to go out there and shine and be productive. And that's all I really wanted to do. Is I just wanted a shot, and I just wanted to go out there and live on that legacy of really good football teams with St. Peter Marian and win a championship. And then after that, we'll see what happens. I might get a scholarship or something. And that's exactly what happened. So I wasn't even really thinking about it. I just wanted to just go out there and play the best football that I could possibly play. And then eventually I knew that some teams will eventually start to come over to me, kind of offer me some scholarships and things like that. And then I could just take it to the next level. And that's exactly what happened. University of New Hampshire, obviously, was in the mix. And then Northeastern in Boston was in the mix also. So both of those two schools were coming after me extremely hard. I remember taking my first visit to Northeastern, and it was nice. You know what I'm saying? And then I went to UNH, and the guy that recruited me at UNH was actually 𝐿𝐄𝐻.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, wow. 𝐿𝐄𝐻 was instrumental in me getting to the University of New Hampshire. And then he was also the running back coach. So like instantly hit it off. We had, running the football was his main thing, and coming up with these crazy schemes to try to get me loose. So I bought into that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I was like, you know what, if I'm able to go in there and establish myself as a day one starter, then I'm going to try to do that. And I knew that, I believed in 𝐿𝐄𝐻. I believed in the system. I believed in what UNH was doing at that time, and I just wanted to be a big fish in a small pond. So that's eventually what happened. Is I took that leap of faith to go to UNH, went to UNH, and then everything worked out immediately, just like how I planned it.
Yeah. Talk about taking advantage of an opportunity.
Absolutely. I mean, when I first got there, we had 2 fifth-year seniors that were really good. They're kind of utility guys that could just do it all. And then we had 3 freshmen, including myself, the number 1 and number 2 running backs in Massachusetts, and then the unknown kid, which was me, because I didn't play, to my senior year in high school. So we all went up there, and I'll never forget it, man. We went to our very first scrimmage, and they were like, "Zoom, you in there?" And I was like, "I'm never coming out."
I heard that.
And I went in there and I ripped it up. And then finally they were like, "You know what? You're going to be a starter day one." And I was like, "Okay, well, this is it. Like, I get to really do what I love." I've been doing it ever since I was a little kid. And I wasn't even thinking about like the pros and stuff. Like, even though that was cool, and I went to like OU and things like that. And I went to like the Dallas Cowboys in Oklahoma, or the Patriots. It really wasn't a goal of mine. My goal was just to be the best player that I could be on the football field, and just do everything possible to make myself successful and make the team successful. So that's what that's the only thing that was on my mind. at that time.
I heard that. I wonder how big was that chip on your shoulder once you got in there?
Yeah, it was super big. I remember when I first got there and they had the two rookie running backs. I was like, what are they doing here?
Why'd you get me?
Kelly, we had a serious conversation. I was like, Chip, like, what? They're like, hey, they committed and we're looking for running backs and we want to get the best that's available. And I said, all right, well, if you get me in there, I'm going to prove that I'm going to be the best. And I was a day one starter, and the experience with Chip Kelly was absolutely phenomenal.
Yes, indeed.
I bet. Hey, as a running back, well, I just want to say one thing. Let's pause for the cause and let's get real. When you say University of New Hampshire, you already sound like a genius, bro. I mean, that just puts a stink on it, man. Like, I'm just saying, like, it just sounds smart. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to let you know that's a little flex right there, brother.
Big time.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, as a running back, you were an explosive mix of speed, athleticism, strength, and superb football instincts. You ran for nearly 2,000 yards, which is crazy, unheard of. 31 yards as a senior.
Yeah.
How were you able to harness all those abilities and skills into becoming an elite high school football player? I mean, it's just nuts.
Yeah, well, I mean, high school, it was fun. We were a good team. We did a lot of things that built that program, and we had a lot of guys through the pipeline that could uphold, and carry on that tradition. So, my senior year, we were obviously good. We won our division and won our state championship. So, it was basically the team. Like, we've been playing or been around each other for so long, and we had really good coaches too that put us in really good situations to make a lot of plays. And we also had just really good talent too. You have to have some type of talent to be successful, especially at that level.
Yes,
but the coaching was superb. We were really disciplined in what we had to do. And we were just a team that just went out there and we executed our game plans to the best of our ability, and it worked out pretty good. So with that, I mean, obviously other schools, universities started to look at me. Not big universities, but later on, after I signed my letter of intent to go to UNH, I started getting calls from smaller Division I AA schools that were probably going down the list to see if I still had some interest in possibly attending their university. But my mind was made up. I was clear. Chip Kelly gave me a clear vision of what he wanted to do with me. And we built something really incredible at the University of New Hampshire. Our offensive line was incredible. We actually have a lot of guys with, they were just football dudes, come out of UNH that I was lucky enough to play with. Like Ryan Day was my quarterback. He's now, the head coach for Ohio State. We had Jason Ball. He was our center. He played 3 years with the Chargers. Randall Williams. He was our wide receiver. He played 4 years with the Raiders and the Cowboys. My fullback, Dan Kreider, he played 9 years with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was Jerome Bettis' fullback. He ended up winning the Super Bowl. So we had a lot of football dudes, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's people that I played with or guys that were just basically just coaching. So it was a really cool experience to go through that.
Yeah, and it also sounds like you guys all bought in. You guys all banded together, and that's what matters, especially when you believe in each other and you believe in the coach. And it sounds just like it was like the perfect storm, man. It's a great story.
Yeah, man, it was fantastic. I really enjoyed my time at the University of New Hampshire, and like I said, I just kind of stayed focused on what was important to me, which was just playing ball. I didn't get too far ahead of myself and start thinking about like the NFL and things like that. That all came later on with like the awards and the accolades. And then all of a sudden, the whispers started to happen. Then I got invited to, a all-star game, then got invited to the combine. So then it was like, oh, well, wait a minute. People are looking at me like I can possibly play at the next level. So that whole process was absolutely incredible because I went to the combine as a running back, and then I went to BC's Pro Day. So that's the thing that kind of changed a lot of different things for me. I went to BC's Pro Day after the combine, which is a couple of weeks later after the combine. And they had this dude by the name of Mike Cloud. I think he got drafted to Kansas City Chiefs like in the second or third round. So they compared me really closely to him.
Wow.
And while we were at the Pro Day, I did all my running back drills and things like that, and everything was going well. And then this guy comes over to me. He's like, hey, he's like, there's a little buzz in the NFL right now after your combine performance that you could possibly be a defensive back. And I'm just looking at him crazy, like, defensive back. Like, why would you even think that? And he said, well, just based off of my numbers, they're very comparable to like big time DBs that come out. So if you don't mind, like, he wanted to basically send me through some DB drills. And at first I was hesitant. I was like, you know what, I'm a running back. Like, check the tape. I go forward really well, and I don't want to put anything bad on tape in the terms of, because they're really critical about this stuff. You know what I'm saying? If you put something bad on tape, like, it circulates and it goes around. And I've never backpedaled a day in my life. You know what I'm saying? I played in a secondary in high school, but I just lined up deep and just came downhill and just try to kill people. Like, that's all I did. But now he wanted me to, like, take me through some drills, some DB drills and things like that. And I've never done any of that stuff before. So it took a little bit of convincing. But he was like, you know what? I want to see what you can do. It'll be about, 10 to 15 minutes long. I just want to see how you just change direction and things like that. So I did that. And he came over, he gave me his card, he shook my hand. It was actually Phil Emery. So Phil Emery at that time was a regional scout for the Chicago Bears turned GM, the whole freshman experience. Yeah, so he was very instrumental in drafting me and making me a Chicago Bear.
Okay. So that's interesting. Now here, listen, we got a whole list of questions here that we're supposed to get to, but you're so good at answering the questions that you're answering questions we have from multiple questions ahead in terms of, like, you're diving into it. So that makes me think, man, like, were you being told by NFL scouts at that time that you had a better chance of performing in the NFL as a cornerback versus a running back?
So I got several teams started to come out and they started to kind of work me out as a defensive back. And like I said, I had never played defensive back before. And at the time, my senior year, I won the Walter Payton Award, which is the, equivalent to the Heisman of Division I AA. So as the offensive player of the year. So I'm thinking to myself, like, why would I run backwards when I go forward pretty goddamn well? So
I would think the same thing. That's a hard thing to accept.
Yeah. But there was a buzz in the NFL that possibly I could be a tweener. Back then in the 90s, which is, it sounds crazy now, but they were really big on big time running backs. So you had like people like Ricky Williams that was a bigger back. You had Edgerrin James that were bigger backs. So they didn't really view me as like an everyday down back or even view me as kind of like a scat back. They were just like, we don't really know what he can do in the NFL with his size, but he belongs somewhere in the NFL. So I just think that it was a easy transition with looking at my results at the combine and then like my pro day results and things like that. So I think that they kind of put it all together and they're like, you know what, he might have a better career as a defensive back, in the NFL than a running back. So there was a lot of buzz going on about that.
And you bought into it. You had to have bought into it to make that change and to participate.
Yeah. Teams were coming to me and they were like, you could possibly be a running back. You could possibly be a defensive back. But my whole focus was running back. That's all I knew. That's what I was good. That's what got me to the level that I'm at, being in the presence of NFL people. So I was like, I'm a running back through and through all the way. And, I have the accolades to kind of prove that.
Jerry, with where we are in your story kind of falls directly in line with the question that's supposed to be asked here. So we're back on track, man. Bear with me, man. It's April 1999 with 147th overall pick in the 5th round of the 1999 NFL Draft. Chicago Bears select Jerry Azumah.
Yeah.
What does that day mean to you still now?
It was an amazing day. I got calls throughout that whole draft process. And obviously I started falling. And my hopes were getting lower and lower and lower. But this is kind of like what it was. You know what I'm saying? I knew that eventually, once I got my chance, I would shine. I've always had that passion and that belief in myself that once I presented myself the way that I needed to, then people would get it and they would basically be on the bus and roll with me. So when my name was called, man, I remember like finally, And the Bears called and they were like, we're going to draft you. And I was like, I'll believe it, when I see it across that ticker, because I've been getting calls all day long. But it finally went through, and I was like, man, like, I'm so happy that, I'm a Chicago Bear, because obviously I've been a Chicago Bear my whole life. It started with Walter Payton and me being a running back. Like, that just went hand in hand.
All right, so be honest with me. Was there a preference in your head between Steelers or Bears?
I've always been a Chicago Bear fan. My father was more of the Steelers fan. So I remember talking to him on draft day, and he was like, man, like, you should have went to the Steelers. I was like, nah, Dad, I think this is perfect with the Chicago Bears. But that conversation on draft day was interesting because, I said, finally someone wants me to run with the football for them. And they were like, nah, we want to try you as a defensive back. And I'm like, we need to stay on the phone for a little bit longer and try to figure this thing out a little bit. Like, how can I convince you that, a person that rushed for, almost 6,200 yards in college.
Jesus.
Well, I don't even know how I should convince you that I should stay a running back. Right. You know what I'm saying? But you're going to make me a defensive back. Like, it's something that I've never thought about doing. I've never did it at a high level. And then now I'm being drafted by the Chicago Bears to do something that I've never done, basically in my life. So it was a really interesting conversation, and it was an even tougher transition to make when I first got to the Chicago Bears.
Okay, Jared. Speaking of that transition, that falls right into my my question. Strangely enough, let's talk about this, because, like you said, you ran all through college, high school, and to get to the highest level, for them to say, all right, you are now defensive back now. Talk about some of the struggles, what I'm saying, that goes on.
Yeah, one of the hardest positions to play.
What are the mental and physical struggles when you get to the highest of the high? Yeah. Now you went through college football going one way, but you get to the top to go back.
To go backwards, right? And I got to do it against the best guys in the world.
Right.
Yeah.
Who've been playing the same position all their life.
All their life. Yeah. I mean, it was really tough. I remember going to my first mini camp, and just basically the hardest thing for me was it was two things. One, backpedaling, just going backwards. My body wasn't designed to do that. I don't think anybody's body is designed to do that, but DBs, obviously, they work on it. And I just didn't work on that. I was just extremely raw, and I was just running backwards. So I had to figure out the proper techniques to, like, be a good defensive back. And with that, it just comes with good technique of backpedaling, and then also just seeing the game from a different point of view. Like, I've always watched it from a running back's point of view. Now, when you switch that, everything looks completely different. And then when you're on the island, it's like, oh my God, like, where is everybody? I'm used to, everybody being in close quarters. Right. And now I'm just kind of just man to man, and I don't really know what the hell I'm doing. This I'm doing it. And it was a challenge. It was probably the hardest thing that I've ever had to do in my life. I mean, going from, running back to maybe like a flanker or like a slot wide receiver or even a receiver, you're still staying on that side of the ball, but like to switch it all up and actually change your mentality too, from going from, running the rock and being creative to now I got to be in front of body, and now I got to actually hit people too. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just a completely different world for me, and I'm doing it against the best of the best of the best. So it was definitely a challenge. It wasn't a smooth challenge. There were a lot of tough days. There were some times where I talked to my father, and I've been like, you know what? I don't know if I can actually do this. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And everything is happening so fast. And, the organization at that point is just absolutely incredible. Like, guys know what they're doing, and you might not know who they are, but you find out immediately why they're on that football field. And to do something that you're not really comfortable with, and you're trying to do it at the highest level possible, it's very strenuous. So there was a couple of times when my father had to kind of talk me off the ledge. Like, look, they drafted you knowing that they could have easily drafted a defensive back. You know what I'm saying? You're an athlete. You're a good enough athlete. You will make the adjustment. You just have to stay with it. Vance Bedford, he was my defensive back coach. He's from Michigan. He coached. He coached all the elite corners. Was his main one. So he was on me. He was on me, and I knew he was going to be on me. He had to be on me. Like when I was wrong, I was really wrong. When I was right, I was still wrong. You know what I'm saying? So he was just on me 24/7, but he got me ready. You know what I'm saying? He had to get me ready. And without him, man, I would be in a lot of trouble.
I bet. Hey, Jerry, you got a lot of fans out in the chat, man, especially just another year. Nick, man, he says, this is awesome. He says, Jerry is a class act. Great guy. Went on Chicago. Wish he was on the team now. Bear down. Bro,
well, maybe not so much right now, man. We got a lot of issues.
Yeah, we'll unpack those in a little bit for sure. There's plenty
a lot of injuries. Don't be
we got a lot of
call,
people in the voicemail. They left you a lot of in the mailbag. So
that's great.
That's going to be awesome. We got a great video to share, highlight video. But I got a really cool question for you. I was in Canton. I got to watch yours truly, Devin Hester in Shrineman. It was amazing. He gave a tear jerker, man. Yeah, there it is. Yep. He gave a tear jerker, really good, talking about adversity where, trials and tribulations. And you were talking about it earlier yourself, where you are on track to be this and other people potentially think you should be that and that. Yeah. And he stayed humble and, he just worked hard and it was really cool. It just sounds so similar, man. It resonates.
He's another guy who changed positions.
Yeah, I mean, he came in as a wide receiver.
Yeah, right? That's what I was getting ready to get at. He was talking about in his alumni speech where he had to just like morph into all these different things. Yeah. And he never took like a sour grapes approach, man. He always like just had a really good vibe and,
super positive.
Yeah, it was very positive, man. It was, I love that about him. And that was one thing that when I went up to him, he had his family. That was another cool part about being there is you got to see the guys, your childhood, like favorite, like stars there with his family and how much they meant to him and stuff and how they actually brought their family into the fold and said how much they mean to him, anywhere from sister to brother to, wife to kids. It was so cool. And then they brought their like coaches. I was sitting right next to Hester's coach, and now I thought that was pretty cool, man. I mean,
it was special. Canton was great. There was a lot of guys that I played with that I rolled up to Canton with. Snowman is one of my good friends. Spice Adams. I never played with Spice, but you would have thought that me and him were on the same team for years. Matt Forte is another one, and several others. But Canton was really special, man. Like going there and seeing not only him being inducted into the Shrine, into the Hall of Fame, but Mongo, legendary Bear, and then also Julius Peppers. You know what I'm saying? Like 3 Bears got into the Hall of Fame. So being there in Canton and seeing all the gold jackets and walking up and shaking, some of the guys that like I grew up watching and respecting, just having simple conversations with them was just the time of my life. It was fantastic.
And I like when I did remember those boxes that they had, the clear boxes, their lockers.
Yes.
I always told my camera guy, I said, hey, listen, don't do the bottom part because the bottom part's full of shit. That's where the Packers was at, for some of the guys that played for the Packers later on. But for many fans, you were a preview of Devin Hester, man, with your kinetic return work, especially during 2004 Pro Bowl. You averaged 29 yards per kickoff return in 2003. With all the rule changes since you and Devin used to run wild, how is the NFL return game different from when you ran wild in Chicago, bro?
Man, the whole NFL it's really changed from when I played, So when I got drafted in 99 to what we see right now, it's a completely different game because when I played, it was kill or be killed. You know what I'm saying? We weren't talking about like the egregious headshots, mugging guys down the football field. It was an extremely physical game then. And now they've kind of let off that gas a little bit. But when I first got to the Bears, man, like they wanted me to be a defensive guy and get on special teams and just go out there and hit, like not even think about getting the ball. Like I had to steal the ball to get the ball, you know? So it took a lot of convincing for me to be a kickoff returner, you know? And one day I just got back there in the jugs and I was like, you know, and I'm just going to take some kicks because like I feel comfortable with the ball with the football in my hand. Yeah. And I feel like I can do some things, but I just got to get the coaches to see this. So was hounding the coach. And then finally in that 03 season, it was against the Raiders at home. They finally put me back there to return kicks. And I was like, oh my God, like they better not kick me the ball. Because like it felt like I was back at home. I was like, oh my God, like they're giving me the ball in my hands and I know what to do with the football in my hands. I can make some things happen. So it instantly brought me back to like, you know, I closed my eyes and I could instantly go back to like my childhood of like the first time touching the football and then the first time touching the football, you know, at Pop Warner and then high school and then college. So getting a chance to do that in the pros was just absolutely incredible. And that was the year I went to the Pro Bowl. So well, I remember after going to the Pro Bowl, I was like, coaches, you guys know what you have to do next. Running back. They were like, hell no. Hell no.
I got a question from you from Nick from Just Another Year. He says, question for Jerry, out of all the former teammates, who would be a great coach in the NFL?
Well, there's two guys that kind of really stand out. Peanut Tillman would be one. I mean, he's just really good. He knows how to be patient. He knows how to talk. He knows how to teach and be a leader. And Lance Briggs is another one. Like Lance Briggs he's one of my favorite cats, man. I love that kid. And he just knows the game. He's good with like, you know, guys that are younger that are learning the game. So I think he coaches like in the off season and stuff like that. But I think those two would be phenomenal coaches. But there's a lot of guys that I talk to that they're on a chain text and we're talking about football, all guys from like, you know, former guys that I played ball with to coaches, to guys that I played with that are now coaches. So we keep the whole football life going, man. Like it has not stopped. I'm an old guy now. I mean, these kids that are playing right now could basically be my kids. And you know, we get really passionate about the game of football and get really passionate about, you know, if they're winning or if they're losing or if they can do this or do that. So we try to stay heavily involved as much as possible.
And I love the fact that you guys all get together and you see each other's kids at games and stuff. I saw that a couple days ago. I believe was that Friday.
Yeah. Spice Adams' son.
Okay.
Yeah. So we all showed up. Forte showed up. Peanut. Yeah. So yeah, we try to support as much as possible. You know, Jason McKee would be another one as well. He's really he's actually a high school coach right now. Olin Kreutz would be another great one. Patrick Manley. These are guys that just know the game in and out, and they're very passionate about what they do. You know what I'm saying? Like if you bring up the whole offensive line to like people like Patrick Manley and Olin Kreutz, man, they can talk for hours about just the simplest little details of a play. So those guys are just invaluable guys. They're really awesome human beings.
Olin's got a lot of energy too. I brought him out to Bridges Scoreboard last year and it was crazy, man. He was pounding the table.
Oh yeah.
And, I was getting a little nervous. I'm like, I hope I don't ask this guy the wrong question. But, man, he was awesome. And then he was talking about something like the Bears offered him like 15 or 16 bucks an hour to be like a consultant. I'm like, that is the value that we have for our offensive line. 15, 16 bucks an hour. I mean, you could get the same freaking working at White Castle or something.
That's
you know
what I hire high school kids.
Olin Kreutz, in my mind, is going to be a Hall of Famer one day. You know, I think
all three of those guys Hall of Fame
he's very valuable. And then he also wrote a book about offensive linemen and different plays and things like that. So check it out if you guys get a chance.
I think all three of those guys for the 2025 Hall of Fame induction. I think.
Yeah, I think Lance
and Kreutz are
Kreutz and Tillman.
I was talking
all nominated. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they were, but Rich Desires, I just talked to him, the director. I talked to him 2 days ago. I think he said Lance is out. I think and Jay Hilgenberg is out. I think the only one that's left is Olin, and he needed to check on Wilbur, but he hasn't got back to me yet. But
I think eventually they'll all get in.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
doesn't that help, Jerry? Like the fact that you're already in there in the books every year, it's rinse and repeat until it happens, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why, every Sunday someone is saying the peanut punch. You know what I'm saying? Like, and not only just the fact that he has like, I think over 40 forced fumbles, he also has like almost 40 interceptions as well. So if you combine all those takeaways, like the guy was just a takeaway machine. You know what I'm saying? And people just don't do it at a high frequency like he did. Like going in, we knew that he was going to punch one of these balls smooth out and we're going to scoop and score and like good things are going to happen. And sure enough, they did. You know what I'm saying? Like it was really incredible that I got to play on some really incredible teams. You know what I'm saying? I played with guys like Lance Briggs, obviously. Mike Brown was another one that was just incredible. Mike Green was another really good safety for us, man. Like his size, you look at him, you'd be like, there's no way you should be playing like basketball or something like that. But he just brought the heat every single time. Then you got guys like Nathan Fasher, and then on the line you have Tommy Harris, who's absolute freak. Israel Adonijah, Adewale Angulia. Like we had some dogs on the defensive side of the football. So like I loved playing defense. And even though it took me some time to get used to like what I was doing, I feel like when they moved me from the outside into the nickel package, into the slot receiver package, that like I started to excel a little bit more because I felt like almost like a running back. So if that makes sense. But on the defensive side, I didn't like all that room on the outside, but I love to come up and hit somebody. You know what I'm saying? So like my fit is in the run game. And then at the same time, like I felt like I just had better control of just getting my hands on wide receivers that were in the middle of the football field. So after, like later on in my career, it started to really work out.
I'll tell you what was it? Johnny Knox, speaking of receivers, Johnny Knox's rookie year, and I want to say DJ Moore's rookie year too. I was there and they did like a makeshift press conference for all us fans. It was really cool. Tommy Harris and Izzy was right there cutting up about all this practical pranksters that they did in the locker room. And I felt
did a lot of that.
I felt like we were like in the locker room and we could see stuff just by their vivid stories and just cutting up, having a good old time. I mean, it's like they're just like us, it was so cool, man.
Yeah, man. Great bunch. I mean, we had a lot of fun. We played really loose. And when we were on our thing, like we were good. We were a really good football team defensively.
Somebody, John in the chat wants to know what Mike Brown's doing nowadays. Have you talked to him lately or?
Yeah. So he was just here for alumni weekend. So the home opener is alumni weekend and he made his little appearance. So it's always good to see Mike Brown, man. I talk to him from time to time and he's doing well. He's doing well.
Mike Brown could turn into a running back when he got that ball in his hands. If he turned into a running back real quick.
Mike Brown was like a really good athlete, man. Like when you look at him, he had deceptive strength. He wasn't the fastest guy, but he just knew how to take the right angles and he knew leverage, if that makes sense. So he played with a lot of leverage. I've seen him knock down guys that were way bigger than him because he just played with leverage. Same with Lance too. Like Lance is deceptively fast, but like he just knew how to hit people where they would
got
move.
Lower than you,
where they would physically move. Yeah, and playing with guys like that, man, they just made football just so much fun. And then we also had like guys like Ron Rivera. You know what I'm saying? Where we loved his coaching style. He's a player coach. And he listened to his team. So I remember one time I was with R.W. McQuarters and I was like, Coach, like we can't run this. And he's like, what are you guys feeling out there? And we're like, this is how we feel. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that you guys are seeing it a certain way, but we're feeling it. We're out there. We can feel the game. And this package that we're in, it just can't work for us. He's like, you know what? Bring everybody up. Forget what we practiced for that whole week. We're going to draw something up which you guys like, and we're going to put it in your hands to go out there and make plays. And I was like, man, now you coaching.
That's amazing coaching. I want that on the Bears right now.
Yeah, they just listen.
You hear that, Shane Waldron? You hear that?
They listened to us, and we were able to respond also.
So real quick, I'm throwing this whole thing off, but I wanted to ask you this question. I don't know, man. Can I ask you from a player's perspective, what does the term player's coach mean to you? Because you just said they listen to you. Is that what that means to a player?
A player coach is a guy that's been at that level before, so he understands what we go through. If it's like coach, like we're not seeing a certain way, he can be like, you know what, I understand what they're talking about. And you have to be in those situations to know what he's talking about. And player coaches are like that. So like, we're like, coach, you know what, today, man, we're hurting. Our legs are hurting. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was a tough game that we played on Sunday. A lot of the guys are a little bit complaining about their legs and things like that. Like, can we take it a little bit easy on this practice? You know what I'm saying? Then we'll make it up on the back end.
Right.
Absolutely. Because a player coach knows those situations and they listen to you because they're like, they've been in those situations. You know what I'm saying? So player coaches are the best. They're the best because they know what it is, what it's like to actually be a player.
Somebody brought up a question today. They were talking about how that it should have been voted upon. And if this is even right, I don't even know if the captains have like any sort of jurisdiction, you know, the team captains, that it should have been voted upon whether Stephenson Tyreek should have been held out the game or not as a starter.
Yeah.
Or is that a coach?
Get right into it. First of all, I think that it didn't come down to just that one play. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, looking back, it's always easy to do that. But, you know, there was some breakdowns that happened from the play before the Hail Mary. And they had 3 timeouts. And everybody knows that you can't
take them with you.
Timeouts and don't take them home. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if there's a breakdown somewhere, which clearly there was, and people on the sideline recognized it, they should have just easily just called a timeout, regroup, make sure that everybody's on the same page, talk to them, get them to understand like their roles and responsibilities again, to reassure them,
sure
and then go out there and make plays.
That play.
Right, go out there and make plays. And then another thing too, and we talk about this a lot via text with a lot of the guys that I play with. The whole prevent defense like needs to be reworked. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to get a little bit deeper with your safeties, cool, but don't just take a whole play off and just have everybody just play deep and just give up all these unnecessary yards up front.
Jerry,
like,
the Bears were
we hate that.
Yeah,
we're like, why are we
in a prevent defense on that big run play by 𝐷eMarcado at the end of the first half on Sunday?
Yeah,
wasn't that basically what they were in?
Yeah, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much. You know, I'm a believer in just being aggressive at all costs. You know what I'm saying? If you don't want people getting back or flying down the football field, well, get up and start mugging them. You know what I'm saying? Like, take it away. So for the Hail Mary, for example, or I should say the play before that, they could have played a loose cover 2 and still not giving up a lot of yards. You know what I'm saying? The outside is protected by the corners. The over the top is protected by the safeties. You have everybody pretty much already in their drop. So just line them up at like 10 yards deep and then don't go backwards. You know that they need they need about 12 to 15 yards to get the ball into the end zone. Why just give them those free plays, those free yards? It just doesn't make any sense. Well, you know that you could take them away. So corners, get up, jam the shit out of them. You know what I'm saying? And then be disruptive up front. You know what I'm saying? Like, be disruptive up front, get the sack and get it over with. Like,
your principle can't be hits while you play off and soft on the second to last play of the game. If your principle is hits, you got to play that aggressive style defense all the way to the last whistle, man.
I agree with that. And if you want to play a little looser in your coverage, that's fine. But don't lose the whole integrity of the whole defense and the whole coverage. You know what I'm saying? Like, just giving up free yards to give them an extra shot to get it into the end zone. Like,
so it's almost like what we do. If you were one of the players on the field for that play call on that Sunday, would you have been upset by the play call coming in?
I wouldn't have been happy. I think that there are some leaders on the teams that I played with that would have definitely called a timeout and been like, let's get this right. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're calling a timeout. We're going to get this right.
That's amazing.
So like I said, the play before the Hail Mary, they should have played that differently. And then with the Hail Mary, I mean, look, when I did it, I was the nickelback. So I always went up and I always jammed, you know, the guy that was on the line of scrimmage, the number 2, using the number 2 wide receiver. I would get up, whoever's on the line, I would just try to bump him. And that's what you need to do. You need to bump these guys a little bit at the line of scrimmage and not let them just have track meets down the football field.
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense to me. But like, coaches keep on, and coordinators just keep on doing it. And I'm just like, guys, you guys haven't reworked the whole prevent defense yet. Like, why are we still seeing the same old crap? You know,
Jerry, that's
like,
that transitional. That's that transitional skill that you learn in soccer, because you're giving up all that real estate when you play off, you know what I mean? And you back up into the goal, so that way you can help out with that goal. But now you just gave up all that real estate. Now the ball's all the way on that side of the field. Like you said, bump up, put some pressure, put more than 3 guys out, and do not have a freaking shadow for a quarterback like he's going to run 50 yards.
So with that play, I don't think that it was necessarily a shadow. I think that he was covering the running back.
Okay.
But the running back isn't going to go anywhere.
Still doesn't make any sense.
He's going to block. So he should have immediately just rushed. You know what I'm saying? Just rush and just try to get a sack, or just make it disruptive, and don't give him, what was it, 13 seconds or something crazy like that?
Yes.
To get the ball off. Like, that's kind of crazy. Like, we don't need a spy on the quarterback. If he wants to take off and run, God bless him.
Right.
You know what I mean? God bless him. But he's not going to do that. He needs to throw the ball in the end zone. So you know that the running back is going to stay in to try to block. Go ahead and rush the quarterback. Try to make a play.
Jerry, we got a bunch of questions in the chat, and one thing that's standing out for sure is with the way Bears Nation is feeling about all this. You probably know, and I saw you address a lot of things in XApp today. I don't know how you have time to. That's a lot. You got a lot of action there, bro. You need like a whole team or something, man. What is your level of the level of performance with Eberflus? Where's your faith in him?
You know, it's been kind of up and down. You know what I'm saying? Just kind of like this season. They started off slow, and then they started to kind of, I guess, get some identity. And then now they just don't have an identity at all at this point, and they actually taken steps backwards, which is actually very disappointing after a bye. You know what I'm saying? So everybody was feeling good. I felt like Caleb was doing good. I felt like Waldron was calling some really productive plays. And I'm always going to be a fan of running the football. Like, rule number 1 for me is just run the football. And running the football means getting under center and handing that ball off. You know what I mean? To a running back.
Yes.
To a running back. That's my stance. You know what I'm saying? I will always have that stance. That's what I grew up doing. And it's the one thing that will always work in the NFL. It just always works. You know, if you could be productive with running the football, then you have a hell of a chance at winning football games, even though this place is all pass happy and everyone's throwing the ball all over the place. But it's, for me, it's all about running that football. And I feel like they don't have that identity. The offensive line has been struggling, obviously. I think not an easy fix, but like a quick fix for that would be to just run, like get the big guys moving forward, moving the line of scrimmage, you know, and reestablishing the line of scrimmage, handing the ball off, dealing with guys like a fullback coming at you or a big time running back coming at you, like all that stuff, like get guys moving forward. And I feel like once you start to catch some type of a rhythm like that, and you can start to bust some runs, then you can get them off balance, and then you can start to like play around and do certain things. But rule number 1 for me is always going to be running that ball. And I just feel like sometimes they just kind of get off of that, and they put Caleb in bad situations. You know what I'm saying? Like there's things that you can do to get a young quarterback into a really good situation. 1 is run that ball. 2 is find your big tight end over the middle of the football field. You know what I'm saying? Like Cole Kmet, his target should be 10 a game. And they should be right over the middle of the football field. Yes. Like if you look at some of Cole Kmet's really good plays, they're always like in the hash or in the middle of the football field. And it's just Caleb just with perfect timing, releasing the ball with accuracy. You know what I'm saying? He's decisive. He knows exactly where he's going. It's a big target, and it's to Cole Kmet.
And the numbers show
easy target.
I don't even think he has a target last game.
No, he didn't. He didn't
have a catch in the game before that until the fourth quarter.
Yeah, he might as well not even got on the plane because they didn't play him until like the fourth quarter or something like that. It's just ridiculous, man.
And they ran the ball.
It just lets me know that they don't have a really strong system in place, and they don't have an identity. You know, something that they can lean and place their hat on. They just don't have that.
And see, it confuses me. This confuses me because Shane Waldron was known to utilize his tight ends. That was part of his identity coming in being an OC.
Yeah.
And then you have a potentially Pro Bowl tight end in Cole Kmet, which I think he could be if utilized correctly. And you're not using him at all.
Yeah.
Like it's confusing. Like Caleb needs that safety valve.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially with the situation we're in now. He needs it now more than ever. And I don't know the numbers, but I can assure you the Bears are a better team with Kmet being utilized. I can guarantee it.
Absolutely. And also when they're running the ball effectively and efficiently. You know what I'm saying? They're getting their linemen moving forward. There was a couple of games when they had the little winning streak where they relied on Swift, and Swift was going off. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And they stuck with the run. They were hitting Kmet. They were winning, and then they would throw the big strike and try to connect with Rome or Keenan, DJ Moore, and they were successful doing that stuff. You know what I'm saying? But that now it seems like they've regressed. Even though they had a really strong situation where they could have won that Washington game because they had it. You know what I'm saying? They let it go basically in the last couple minutes, but that's a situation where even though they played bad, they still could have won. And if you look at these games also, they've all been, besides last week, but they've all the losses have been like one score losses. Mm-hmm. So they're right there. Obviously the defense has been playing well, but something happened with the defense where it broke. I think it was Billings. I think Billings got hurt.
Yeah,
so
the middle was out too.
Was wide open, and they knew that, and they took full advantage of that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, if the Bears can just stay healthy, figure out what their identity is on the offensive side of the ball, which should be running the ball, and it should be getting the ball out of Caleb's hands with 3-step drops and looking for Kmet at least 10 times a game. Mm-hmm. I think that they'll be all right. But I feel like sometimes it just starts to wander off, and the game starts to get a little bit outside of themselves, and then they just kind of get off of the main focus of what they need to be doing offensively.
Jerry, do you know when we're going to get Zach Pickens back?
No, I'm not exactly sure.
He played.
Yeah, he played. He played
in that game.
Yeah,
he did. Yeah, he got his first snap in like the second quarter.
It makes me so happy to hear you, Jerry, talking about the run game, because it's something that I've been preaching for this entire season. And like this past week, they only handed the ball to running backs 19 times. They dropped Caleb back 47 times.
47 times.
And they could not stop the run on the other side. So if you can't run the football, you're not committing to it, and you're not stopping the run on the other side, that's a guaranteed loss, I
don't want to see Caleb with 40-plus throws. I definitely want to see him with 50-plus throws because he's already done that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they have to start to develop this quarterback, and the best way to do that is running the ball and really safe passes to your tight end and 3-step drop. Like, they can really be productive if they just run that. And if they figure out some identity and get those things going, then take some shots, you know what I'm saying? Take some shots to DJ Moore, which they can do, and he can deliver the ball. But you have to make him comfortable. And I feel like Caleb is doing a really good job. I mean, he's only played in 8 NFL games. You know what I'm saying? 8 NFL games. But you can see that he comes up, he's thinking, he's going through his progression. He's processing everything of what needs to be done, and he's trying to get the ball out in the best manner that he can with everybody all up in his face. Mm-hmm. So I give him a lot of credit. I really like Swift. People were kind of down on him a little bit, but I was like, just wait, just keep on feeding him.
You got to keep feeding.
All right, and then you saw what he can do once he gets the ball like 20 times a game. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's one of those guys where you have to just keep on giving him the ball, and he'll get better. And also the offensive line gets better too. But running the ball out of shotgun on the goal line, or just things that just irritate me. You know what I'm saying? Handing the ball off to a center just irritates me. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to be effective with running the football, get your ass on the center, hand that ball off to a running back, let the guys up front create a push, and just stay with it. Even if it's not really working, stay with it. You know what I'm saying? Because hopefully your defense won't break like it did last week, but hopefully your defense can, make some good plays. And then you also have a hell of a good punter that will flip the football field just in one punt. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I think that he's very valuable also. So, right now they've taken some steps back, and it's unfortunate. And I feel like the Patriots are like this, like, oh, we can get one against them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And these are games that, like, the Bears should be winning. You know what I'm saying? We should have won last week. We should have won 2 weeks ago. And coming up to the Patriots game, we should be dominant against them as well. They're not a good football team. They have no identity also.
100%, 100%.
But once you start putting these things on film, they start licking their chops and they start thinking that they're like incredible, when they're not. And they come out and they just start playing that way. I mean, the Cardinals kicked the Bears' butt last week. Like, let's just be honest. Like, they kicked their butts. You know what I'm saying? It was disappointing in every phase of the game. Offense, defense, special teams, and coaching. Everyone got their butts kicked. And it's just unfortunate that the coaches were kind of doubling down on like their decisions and not really taking the responsibility that you know what I'm saying? Like, that was just, it bothered me. And I felt like it bothered the guys too, because they started to echo out in the media, some of their concerns also. And I understand it.
Yeah. Now, true enough, now we all talked about it, just in the coming weeks, but we never knew when it was going to actually come. Okay. We understood that one of these games this season, our defense was not going to be its best self.
Right.
Because no matter how great your defense is, it's going to be a game where you come out flat.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And you're going to get punched in the mouth and you might get beat all game. Mm-hmm. And that should be that should be a learning tool for this showdown in New England. Mm-hmm. Now, through your career, Jerry, I know there's been a time where you've been in the locker room, when it's been kind of like tumultuous, a lot of little turmoil going on.
Yeah.
What would you, what would you like to see from the Bears, coming out versus New England, in the midst of all this turmoil and, coaches firing and things of that nature?
Right. I mean, last week or 2 weeks ago, I should say, after that loss in Washington at the Hail Mary, we started to hear a lot of talk, I'm saying, a lot of chatter. And then the easiest way to do that is to go out the next week and win to suppress all that stuff. But now we got our butts kicked to the Cardinals, you know what I'm saying? Which the Cardinals they're decent, but they're not that great. They shouldn't be kicking our asses like that. And then now you're starting now this week it's going to be like this also. And then you have guys that are also talking to the media and they're not really that happy, you know what I'm saying, with some of the responses that I've been hearing. So right now they're on shaky grounds. Even though they're 4-4, they don't need to really panic, but they need to start getting some things back on track. They have to get healthy, you know what I'm saying? Because I think that relatively speaking, I think they have been healthy, but they need to get healthier. They need guys to come in and just play better. You know what I'm saying? The offensive line needs to just kind of play better. You know what I'm saying? Defense last week, they needed to play better. They couldn't stop anything. We were getting gashed right in the middle of the football.
Right up the middle. Jerry, you could have ran through there, bro.
Crazy to me.
Jerry, you could have still ran through there, man. I think you would have got probably a good hundo again.
Yeah, anybody could have ran through there.
Yeah.
But, I think that what they need to do is they need to come out, they need to get together and say, you know what, we need to go back to our basics. What did we do when we were winning that made us really good? Yeah. And those things are, you can recognize those things immediately and you can recognize those things fast. Run the ball, Kmet, quick passes, things like that. You have to establish some type of identity, because if you're not, then you're just chasing and you're just kind of all over the place, and then the game gets all out of whack.
Isn't that on the coaches to make sure that happens, though, Jerry? Like, because they've been successful doing it in games where their offense has performed well, and then they go away from it. So isn't that on the coaching staff to make sure that they?
Yeah, 1,000%. Look, at the very beginning of the season, when I saw this roster, I was like, man, they got like some playmakers. You know what I'm saying? But I was like, none of these guys are important. The most important people, especially on the offensive side, is Shane Waldron and the coaching staff. They have to be the ones to figure out exactly what these talents are and put these guys in the right situations to be successful and make a lot of plays. That's all on coaching. You know what I'm saying? Schemes, putting guys in the right places. Like, it's up to the coaching staff to make that stuff happen. And then as players, you get into these situations and we expect for you to go. Yes. I just don't really know that they've been putting these guys in the right situations to be successful to make a lot of plays. Right. So that's coaching. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yes, if you're running, like for me, like if you're trying to be cute and you're handing the ball off to a backup center and he fumbles it, like that's on you. You know what I'm saying? Like that's on you. Oh, yeah. You have all these running backs that know how to run. You have guys that can smash people, you know, if you just hand the ball off to them, but you want to be cute, and it doesn't go your way. And you know, if it doesn't go your way, we're gonna be on you about that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Especially if it's some cute design, which we don't really want to see. We want to see some smash mouth football, line up and hand the ball off and then play football.
And Jerry, it seems like the way we play football well is by running the ball first to set up the pass and take some pressure off of Caleb's ass. And that the offensive line seems like they're blocking better during, you know, run blocking versus pass blocking.
Yeah. And I'm a firm believer of that. I mean, if you ask people that have played on the offensive line and things like that, like fire off the ball. You know what I'm saying? Go get some people. Go hunt people down. You know what I'm saying? Like, get people on their heels. You know what I'm saying? And running the ball effectively will do that. I'm a firm believer of that. Still, I will always be a firm believer of that. And it's actually kind of nice, too, because I feel like the NFL collectively is coming back to that. You're starting to see a lot more runs and guys being productive in the run game.
Yep.
Yeah, Derrick Henry to the Ravens is a great example of that.
Exactly.
Unlocking that offense completely just by adding Derrick Henry to that.
I mean, if you look at the teams that are doing really well, they have a really good run game.
Oh, yeah.
Really good running game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
you know,
Derrick Henry, Saquon,
I
I think they got like 12, 13 touchdowns, somewhere around there. They got a lot of touchdowns, a lot of yards. It's freaking crazy, man. And their teams, like you said, rightfully so, they're doing freaking good. And what kills me is, and you'll see in your mailbag here in a little bit after we play your highlight reel, which is badass. This lady was basically just talking at a question for you about Swift and whatnot. And it just kills me. We have so many running backs. We're actually talking about shipping one off and Khalil Herbert and potentially getting something in return. I mean, and rightfully so, he could actually be pretty good somewhere else if he got enough reps, but there's not enough ball to share, especially when we want to give Caleb 30, 40, 50 pass attempts in a game. You know?
Yeah, I mean, and that's another issue too, man. It's like the whole development of a quarterback. You know, the NFL as a whole is just gone away from like the development of a quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like getting a quarterback that's drafted number 1, number 2, number 3, or whatever in the first round, and then just throwing them into the fire has not really been a good solution for their overall success. You know, collectively, if you look at all the first rounders, there's more busts or more misses than makes. You know, and it's the margin is really big on that. There needs to be a system where they're developing these quarterbacks, but they're just expecting these quarterbacks to come in and just be productive right away. I mean, look what they're doing with Young out in what is it, Carolina?
Yeah.
I mean, the guy can play. Like we've seen flashes and things like that, but like, man, like the system that they have for him is just broken. You know, they're not developing him at all, and then now he's just kind of by the wayside, and now he's not even starting. You know what I'm saying? It's the NFL has a problem on their hands.
Yeah.
When you look at Jaden Daniels and Washington's just making it easy.
They're doing it right.
There's always
making it easy.
There's always exceptions, but like collectively, you know, there's not a lot of those guys.
No, I agree. And I agree with you, Jerry. I agree with you, Jerry. And I think it's important that if you do get a rookie quarterback who's going to start week 1, you gotta do simple as best you can.
Yeah,
you got to simplify it, and you got to treat them. I think that's the difference. I think Jane Daniels is being treated like a guy who's never played in the NFL, and Caleb is not. I think Shane Waldron's approach from Geno Smith to Caleb Williams didn't change drastically. We're throwing the ball at a 56% rate right now. I mean, that's just a recipe for failure. It's just not a good. Right now, I think the Commanders are running the ball or passing the ball 48%, and that's still kind of high for a rookie quarterback.
Yeah. And I'm also a really big on dumping the ball off to running backs as well, because it's kind of like an extension of the run. You know what I'm saying? And it helps those quarterbacks out tremendously. Like if I can dump the ball off 5 yards and he can get 15 to 20 yards, like why not do that?
Yeah. And Caleb is being asked. And it works really well.
Brady is the king of dinking and dunking.
Yep. And Caleb is being asked to go through more reads than basically anybody in the NFL right now. If you look at the statistics, but at the same time, he has DeAndre Swift for those checkdowns and he's not taking it. So again, that comes back to coaching for me, because that's not being jammed in his head. Like when you take the easy play that's in front of you.
Easy play. Take what they give you, man.
Well, and
Jerry,
Jerry,
learn that. He's going to learn that in the league.
Yeah, I think so.
Are they even using the? I feel like Poles had intentions for all of these guys to make a rookie's life easier. Mm-hmm. Swift is a check down. Keenan's a quick release option. Kmet's a big body. DJ Moore is a yards after the catch. You just give him the ball, he'll do the rest. Mm-hmm. And we're not utilizing any of these people for any of these roles. It's really disheartening.
It's unfortunate. I think 3-step drop would be perfect for Caleb. I think that he's able to process things quickly, and he has such a good arm and release that 3-step drops, like he should be doing that all day long. He should be dropping back, and running back should just be ready to just catch the little dump pass, and those things can go from like 10 to 15 yards. Like these are all Kmet over the middle of the football field. You know what I'm saying? Like 1, 2, 3, hit them. Those are I feel like those are just the easy plays that they can get away with, because the defense isn't really checking for that. You know what I'm saying? They're like, they're like little dump plays. But we have guys that if you dump the ball off to them, they know how to yak. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Give them that responsibility of, okay, we're going to hit you, at 5 yards, but we expect you to get 15 out of that.
Hey, I got a quick question that just came from Corey Wooten. He wants to know, and he said he loves you, Zoom. And I get that everywhere, bro. Everywhere. Everybody loves some Zoom in their life, especially us, man. Tonight, man. Thank you so much for blessing us. Hey, he wanted to ask you, because he's getting ready to put the girls to bed, just got back Arizona trip. What does he think? What do you think about Eberflus and Waldron, and if the loss and if they lose badly to the Patriots, does he see any way that they could be on the chopping block?
Man, this is difficult for me, because you have your number 1 pick, Caleb Williams, right?
Yes, sir.
We know what he can do. Now, year 2, do you want him to go into year 2 with a new head coach, a new offensive coordinator, a brand new system in year 2? Do we really want that?
Jerry, not that I'm trying to push Jerry, not that I'm trying to push back on what you're saying, but would it really freaking matter? I'm just saying, brother, would it really matter?
Yeah. Learning a whole new system matters. You know what I'm saying?
This was the concern going into this season.
Broke. What if the system's broke?
Jerry, I agree with you. I agree with you that they shouldn't. I don't see the benefit of firing anybody in season.
Right.
I don't see that benefit.
There's no benefit.
An intermittent coach. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody is, but I don't see that benefiting Caleb Williams in any way by just pulling the next man up. I do think, though, if Caleb's development, like you said earlier, it's kind of regressed. If you continue to have this 1 step forward, 2 steps back, then you're only, when it comes to the well-being of Caleb Williams and doing right by him, your only choice is to get rid of this coaching staff, without a doubt.
Right. Yeah. And I agree with that. Like, I'm of the philosophy of don't change the coach, because you don't want to put a new system on such a rookie that's developing. You know what I'm saying? He's talented. You just got to figure out ways to make this system work. Your plan B needs to be how we make plan A work. Sometimes it needs to be like that. But I don't know. Look, we got 9 more games left.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So let's just see how this thing plays out. And then now we're starting to play some really good football teams. So now we're going to figure out what kind of coaches we really have. You know what I'm saying? Because these coaches that we're going to be going against are the real deal. Like they know how to get the best out of their guys.
What do you think, Jerry? What do you think?
The Vikings.
What do you think of this coaching staff versus those coaches? Like, how do you feel about the Bears coaching staff going against a really good coaching staff, no matter which team you pick out of the NFC North?
I mean, I'd be lying to say if I wasn't nervous. I'm definitely nervous about that. We're about to face some really good teams after the Patriots. You know what I'm saying? But to lose back-to-back games to teams that we should have been very competitive with, it's very concerning. And it's very concerning to see what the coaches are going to do next, because now it feels like everything has regressed. And the coaching staff, with certain things and certain calls and certain schemes and things like that has regressed as well. So they have to try to figure out that identity. Moving forward, like I said, we're about to get into the teeth of this of this schedule, and it's gonna be tough. We're about to figure out who these Bears really are, but it's more or less just the coaches. They have to put the players in the right situations to be effective and to go out there and to make plays. And that's what I'm really going to be looking at. Like, I don't even really care about like what the players doing so much. I just want to know what the scheme's going to be, what the game plan is going to be. Like, these are the things that I want to know about, because it's going to let me know, like, okay, what we should do after the season. You know what I'm saying? And then win. Like, if we start getting hot and we start winning against these really good teams, then, you know, things can change. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember the first 2 games or first 3 games, everybody was like, oh my God, here we go again. Like, let's fire everybody, blah, blah, blah. Then we got on a win streak and everybody was like, oh yes, like everybody was feeling good. And then so now we're back to square one. Let's just figure out what they're going to do in these last 9 games, you know what I'm saying, against really good opponents. And let's see if they get outcoached, because if they get outcoached, then I would say then a change is probably going to be inevitable. But if they can stay competitive, which I want them to be, I don't expect them to win. Like, I didn't have these huge expectations for this team to win, because I know it just takes time. And we're to the point where we just don't have any time. Like, everybody's about instant gratification and now. But I want to see how they're going to do of these next 9 games, and if they're going to be competitive. Are the coaches going to be able to get these kids to compete? You know what I'm saying?
Isn't the priority at this point for this Bears organization to not stunt the development of Caleb Williams? That's got to be priority number 1 with a bullet,
absolutely, it's a priority. But more so, it's all about the coaches and getting everybody to play right. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, I know the quarterback is a big part of it, but I also don't want to see the defense take this type of regression. You know what I'm saying? I also don't want to see our offensive line collapsing, you know, the pocket, and then Caleb getting sacked, you know, 5 to whatever times a game. Like, I don't want to see those things either. You know what I'm saying? But I just want to see, you know, coaches putting guys in the right situations to be successful, and then those guys actually taking the next step forward to be successful.
Right. Now, my thing is this: wanting change, but still wanting to have a successful season. And like my term of having a successful season was not the Bears winning the Super Bowl. Like, I didn't think that far. You know, all I wanted was a chance, meaning, you know, playoffs, 10, 11 wins, you know, or whatever. But if you want change, if we win 10, 11 games, that same coaching staff will be back. I want everybody to understand that.
Yeah.
Oh, we understand that.
Yeah.
We also understand that they're 3-19 on the road. So I don't know if we're teaching Caleb and the rest of these kids how to play and win on the road. I don't understand that at all.
Now, we ain't always had a hell of a team either. You know, during Matt Eberflus's tenure. I mean, not taking up for the guy, but his first couple of years, we were just as worse as the bad teams we were beating. You know what I mean?
Look at this whole breakdown right here. As soon as George McCaskey became chairman on the Bears in 2011, he inherited Lovie Smith as head coach. Here's the timeline. December 31, 2012, fired Lovie. January 16, 2013.
After a 10-win season.
Hired Tressman. January 16, 2015, hired Fox. January 8, 2018, hired Nagy. January 27, 2022, hired Fluss. Now, you see there's some quarterbacks in there, you know, that have had some really tough times, and our offense had some really tough times. And we've seen some really good defensive players who worked their butts off and probably pulled double duty, Jerry, if the offense would have gave them a breath out there for a little bit, so they could regroup. Because you know how it is when you're playing double duty, Jerry. You're a shell of yourself. You're wore out. You know, you're freaking sucking in air. It's tough, man. And that goes through your head, like, how come these guys ain't freaking earning their keep, man? So I don't know what's going on there, man. It's got to stop, man. Because the crazy train
saw that on Sunday.
Stop.
You saw that on Sunday. That defense did not have it in them anymore to stand on their head for another game.
They were gassed. They were gassed. Also, I think that Billings hurt. But they have a lot of, their secondary is hurting a little bit as well. So I feel like at full strength, they'll be okay. But at the same time, man, like they on the defensive side, they have some ballers. You know what I'm saying? Like I really like Booker. I think that Booker's going to be a really solid player. I like Edmonds and Edwards. I think that they can be productive. And then the secondary, Jaquan, Kyler. Like I think that those guys can be really productive and they can be, you know, excellent on the football field. So, I mean, like I said, it's all about the coaching staff and getting them in the right positions to make plays. And for the most part, they do that on the defensive side. It's just the offensive side for so long. And you know, up and down. Like if you were to say, what's the identity of the Chicago Bears offensively? I mean, what would you say?
A bad offensive line.
I don't have nice words.
A team without an identity.
I would say running the football. And,
that's not their identity, though. It should be.
It's not. That's what there should be.
Yeah.
That they throw the ball 42 times a game.
Jerry,
whatever it is.
Jerry, I want your insight on something because you mentioned Jaquan Brisker, man. He has not practiced since October. He hasn't played any kind of football since October 7th, man. I'm sure you had to have dealt with concussions in your career. I'm very concerned about Jaquan Brisker. I know it affects everybody differently, but like, have you dealt with concussions that have kept you out of? I know it's a different time. They weren't monitoring it there now, but like,
I never have personally. I haven't, but I am concerned about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you look at a person like Tua, for example, you know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't get concussions. He gets like the grand mal of concussions on prime time football. You know what I'm saying? Where like his whole body stops. Yeah. You know, so concussions are really big. And obviously the NFL is doing their part to try to make the game as safe as possible with, you know, getting rid of the headshots and things like that. But, you know, it's football. There's going to be some helmet to helmet contact at some point with guys flying around. And if you get knocked into a concussion and you're out for several weeks, that's definitely concerning because now the coaching staff is looking at you like, well, wait a minute, like you should be back, but you're not back. We're going to give you the time that you need to get back. But at the same time, like those concussions add up.
Yeah, he's had a few.
The more that you get, the worse off you're going to be down the road.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and you know, back in your day, Jerry, it really wasn't so much a concussion and all that kind of stuff. They were, you know, you had the smelling salt. And then, you know, you had your bell rung and all that, and you came to and you went back out there and you played, you know, and now you see people like, you know, I talked to Doug Plank, a couple other guys who've been through this and suffered memory loss and whatever. It's the real deal. So I was talking to Darius. We had a good show Sunday morning early, man, like 5 o'clock, bro. So
that's early.
It was crazy. But we were talking about this, and you know, as much as we respect Brisker and we need him back, we want his life after football and during football for him to be healthy, you know, because concussions are different than something else where like you play through a hurt elbow or, you know, leg or something like that, or your back. You know what I'm saying, Jerry?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you want to make sure that these guys are safe as possible. Like I said, the NFL, I think, is doing a great job with like trying to do the right thing. I think that they've pushed the needle a little bit too, like swung the pendulum a little too far. That kind of hurts the integrity of the game. And hopefully they start to get that back a little bit. It's just to make it fair. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, I just don't think it's really fair. I just feel like the NFL is saying we're gonna put everything on the defensive players to make this game safe. And it's just not like that. You know what I'm saying? Like the quarterback should not be throwing the ball terrible and throwing hospital balls. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like this is still football. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a very violent game. We're running as fast as possible to try to knock your block off. Like that's just what it is.
Jerry, speaking about hospital, 2 minutes left in the game. Caleb comes up limping. Yeah. Why is he still in there 29-9? That's malpractice. Why is that? I just pulled up the stats right now. We were talking about running the ball. If you're going to do anything, run the ball, maybe even bring in your backup quarterback because there's no way you're coming back at that point. I'm looking at the carries, taking Jerry. Oh, I wish. Taking
Caleb. You take Caleb out of it. Yeah.
He had 4 carries. Caleb had 4 carries. So you have 19 carries, 16 by DeAndre, 4 by Rashawn. So 19 carries. That's not the identity that Chicago needs to have. But more importantly, what the hell happened with 2 minutes left, man? That was ridiculous.
Yeah, it just seemed like there was a lot of chaos. I understand that, like, he wants to be out there and he wants to make plays, but they have to try to protect him as well.
Oh, he said that wasn't his call. He said they asked him today. He said that wasn't his call to be out there or not.
It was not his call?
No.
Yeah, Eberflus said he wanted him in the 2-minute offense to kind of get some reps in that, and we play to the whistle basically.
I mean, I can see both sides. I can see both sides to that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, you know, there's a lot of starters that are out there. You know what I'm saying? Like all of them are starters,
right?
And no one got sat. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I can see both sides of that argument. I mean, this game is already away from you, so you know you're not thinking about the worst in the last 2 minutes. You know,
right?
Until it happens.
Until it happens.
And
if he was injured right now, Jerry, I promise you, I know your tone would be different because then ultimately we're like, oh man, this is terrible. You know what I'm saying?
When do you take him out? When's the right time to take him out?
I mean, the key to it all is that, you know, the caveat to it all is that, you know, okay, you want to practice 2 minutes and whatever he said, but you had 3 starters out on your offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
You're not accounting for the fact that you're not protecting the quarterback very well. And the thing that comes to my mind in that, the thing that came to my mind was Derrick Rose staying on the court in that Philadelphia Sixers playoff series, and then contact injury ruined his career. You know,
if I look at everything in totality, I'm looking at the score was it 29-9 at that point?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So like the game, we're not going to come back.
No,
the offensive line has been breaking down. We can't run the ball effectively or efficiently. We can't really sustain this pocket because we've seen the pocket collapse on Caleb a number of times. You know what I'm saying? So like at that point, I'm gonna evaluate everything and say, you know what, it's probably best if we take him out for like this next the last series. Like let's take him out. Let's put in Bagent and let him just kind of finish out the game. So like I do understand that, but at the same time, it's like, well, if you're still trying to work on some things, you know what I'm saying, and expecting your offensive line to protect him, expecting the ball to come out quicker, you know what I'm saying, expecting him to release the ball and get the ball out of his hands and not take any sacks. I understand that part of it too. So it's a tough call. It's a tough call. Yeah. I'm glad I don't have to make it.
Gary, we've talked about a lot of bad football. Let's watch some good football. Let's watch.
Yeah, man. Yeah, let's get back to some good stuff.
Let's do it. What we got?
A Jerry Azumah highlights.
Yeah, what is going on here, man? It is not working with me here.
Well, next time.
Yeah,
let me ask you guys a question. Realistically, at the beginning of the season, what did you have the Chicago Bears record at? And what was the main thing that you wanted to see done for the Chicago Bears?
10-7, and I expected DeAndre Swift to be one of the best running backs in the NFL statistically this year. I thought he would be the focal point of this offense, catching out of the backfield and running, and I just expected them to run their offense through that, man. That's how I expected them to ease Caleb into this season.
Yeah, I was 10-7, and the thing I wanted to see most was just a different approach with a rookie quarterback, a strong foundation of development. Making a guy feel like he's getting better, making a guy feel like the game is easier than it is.
Gain confidence.
A few early completions, easy.
Yeah.
A few quick, easy early completions, and letting this kid grow and mentally just as much as physically with the speed of the game.
Yeah, I always teetered around 10 or 11 wins, but I just wanted to finally see us have a top 12, top 10, top 12 offense, you know, to go along with our thriving defense, you know. And however our offense got to that level, I wasn't really bothered by how we got there. I just wanted us to get there. You know.
All right, I think I got these highlights back. Let's try it out again. Come on, work for me.
You definitely had it, Trax. Whatever you did on that last one you were there.
Bro,
this ain't it though.
Wow, so you guys all had double-digit wins, huh?
Yeah, I had 10 wins. What did you have, Jerry?
I had them like around 8 wins.
Whoa. So you expected Flus to get fired after this season?
No, I mean, it's a rookie quarterback. That's number one. Rookie quarterbacks. I mean, there's what CJ Stroud did last year is an anomaly. Like that doesn't happen. That happens like once every 15 years. I think the last person that did that was like Cam Newton. And
but
I was
they still only had 10 wins.
Say what?
As great as he played, they still only had 10 wins.
Exactly.
So
10
Jerry,
wins.
what's the answer to this? What's the answer to the second part of your question?
Say it again. I'm sorry.
What's the answer to the second part of your question? You said what was your record prediction and what did you want to see most this season?
I wanted to see an identity on the offensive side of the football, like a strong identity, whether it's 3-step pass and we're just going to get the ball out quick and then just let our guys just make plays, or the running game. You know what I'm saying? Like we're going to be a running football team. You know what I'm saying? We're going to take the ball out of Caleb's hands, even though we know what he can do, but we're going to not have him. We're not going to force him into some bad situations or any type of situations. We're just going to run the ball, and we're just going to do it with Swift. So I wanted to see like our offensive line coming off the ball, and I wanted to see him handing that ball off. And then from there, kind of running the offense. That's what I wanted to see.
Yeah, Dustin said it just famously, you know what you're getting when you play the Bears. That's an identity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I tell you what's unfortunate. Man, I can't get these highlight reels going, man. I'm freaking fed up with this. This is
we got
sorry.
The Patriots,
Jerry kept the conversation moving along
right now at the Chicago Bears. The Patriots are saying, you know what, we can take the game from them. We're going to take this game. Like we're giving bad teams confidence.
Yeah, we look sweet. You know what I'm saying? That's it. We just look.
I think the Patriots just beat the Titans last week. Or no, the Titans
look a lot better offensively.
I'm sorry, in overtime. My bad.
They look better offensively at home
with Drake, and they look better. Well, and the Patriots look a lot better with Drake May at quarterback than they did before with Jacoby Brissett out there.
That's true.
So they're building some confidence on that too.
Let's check out this mailbag. I think I can get this mailbag going. Come on, please work mailbag.
No, but the Bears look much better at home. I have much more confidence in the Bears versus the Patriots in Chicago, for sure.
No, yeah, I can definitely agree with that. Yeah, that's most teams in the NFL for sure, especially with a rookie quarterback, man.
But ours is pretty drastic. We have like a 12-game home win streak and like a 18-game
losing streak on Sundays on the road.
It's very disappointing.
Yeah,
it's very disappointing. And then you look at our division too and how strong they are.
And we haven't played a divisional game yet. We haven't even gotten to the
division yet, man.
Yeah, how strong they are because we're about to play all of them twice.
Yeah,
it's brutal, man. It's brutal. Yeah.
And I was really counting on this stretch of games to be like that ramp up to get to those games, and they build that confidence, and like the exact opposite is happening. It's frustrating.
And to be doing this all after the bye too really hurts.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? Like losing back-to-back games after a bye, it's like that one stings.
That's what makes me
looking unprepared. Just looking unprepared. Like look how strange is it to think for a minute, like, man, the Bears, the bye week really put a damper in the Bears' development. It's
unfortunate.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense at all.
But coaches
were improving and learning from their mistakes. The players were improving and learning from their mistakes. They got a bye week, and they just came out flat.
Yeah, it came out
flat.
That
speaks a lot to coaches, man.
Yeah.
Historically, those road games after the bye have not been a strong game for us, period.
Yeah, historically, you're right.
It just hasn't been.
Hey, Jerry, where do you see the Bears going in these last 9 games? We were talking about their record before the season. Having seen what you've seen up to this point, where do you see them finishing after with this 4-4 record? Where does it go from here?
Man, this last game was really, really bad. You know what I'm saying? I feel like they've hit almost like rock bottom. Like they regressed so much. I feel like they will dig themselves out of it. These are ultimate competitors, man. And competitors don't want to be looked at as like, damn, we just got our asses whooped. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I think that they need to get back to their basics. Running the ball, I think, has been really good with them. Finding Kmet has been really good with them. And then defensively, like, they have to get healthier. They have to sew up where Billings is, because I think that that's going to be a big area which a lot of teams are going to try to exploit. Just based off of last week, you know what I'm saying? Like, they were getting gashed right down the middle of the field. So I think that you're going to see a lot of that, bouncing back towards this game. So, there's a lot of like little issues that they need to sew up, but I think that it can be done. They know how to play football. They remember the times that they were winning and everything was starting to click.
Yeah.
They just have to get back to that. And getting back to that is just basically getting back to those basics, like I said.
Yeah.
Those basics of running the football, quick throws, Kmet, stuff like that. So if they get back to that stuff, then I think that they should be all right.
Yeah. All right, like 5-4, or in the last, or all right, like
right now, just based off of the way that they're playing and like their health and everything, like I don't know how effective they're going to be in the division. What I'm saying? The division is really good. Like Green Bay is no joke. Minnesota, obviously, the Lions are good enough to win the damn Super Bowl.
They were last year.
Yeah. So
December 22nd.
It's going to be a tough one, man. It's going to be.
Hey, Chicago Sports Podcast and host.
We can hear you, Trey.
All right, I got to go, and let's get this out. Let's get the mailbag going.
5 minutes.
Oh man, it's crazy. I got all this new technology. I'm trying to get it done before the casino. I don't know why I couldn't get that sharing the screen. Usually I do all right with that, but
we better figure it out before
it's
AI
Mike
takes
Boone.
over
Look at this,
our
Mike
jobs.
Boone, man. This Mike Boone's been kicking my butt tonight.
Let's figure it out before it turns tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'll work. All right, here we go. Here's the first one.
Hey, Trax, this is Big Rig from Michigan City. I know there's someone throw this out there, and I know he's got baggage, but the Bears should consider going after John Gruden. I know he's got a past, but he brings attitude to this team, and he knows the right offensive line coaches he can get hooked up, and knows the right people that can bring this team attitude that it desperately fucking needs.
God, no.
A little fired up, man.
Yeah,
all right, let's try the next caller.
Yes, I got a message I want to leave. This is the Bishop giving you a call from down in San Antonio, Texas. And this message is actually for any of our alumni, Bear alumni. Got a question. We've had a carousel of coaches since Lovey got let go. And one of the glaring things that I'm noticing is the lack of leadership. Lovey was a very special leader in regards to, one, I know he didn't use any profanity, but I would like to know from any of our Bear alumni, what are your take on what made Lovey such a special leader and was able to galvanize and lead men where these other coaches since him seem to have failed? I would like to know your take on it. And again, I appreciate everything that Chicago Sports Podcast is doing, and bear down.
Well, for me, I mean, I was with Lovey for a little bit, and Lovey was no nonsense. He was a no nonsense type of guy. And the people that he had around were like people like Ron Rivera, his defensive coordinator, players coach. So we already, addressed that a little bit, but Lovey definitely expected a lot from us. And actually he had like that quiet confidence, but like he expected a lot from us. But if you look back at Flus's when last year with Flus, when he had to take over the role of the defensive coordinator, the defense was struggling before that. And then he took over and he got the defense corrected. You know what I'm saying? Like the defense was absolutely balling late in the year when he took over. So, and I was able to talk to some of the guys too, and they really bought into like his style of football with like always flying to the football, always being a hustle guy, and then getting the ball out. Like there was always a purpose when you got to the ball, and that purpose was to get that ball out. And that's what Lovey preached. You know what I'm saying? Like there was purpose to what we are trying to achieve on the football field. And if we were going to be good, we would have to achieve that at least twice a game, like get the ball back and return it to the offense. Like it was preached to us. And I feel like it was preached to, I felt like he was doing a good job preaching the same message to those guys. And they responded to that because they were just turnover or takeaway machines. And they were always flying to the football, but they're also were put in really good situations to make plays. You know what I'm saying? So the coaches understood the value that each player had and where to put them to make sure that they could get the most out of them on any particular play. And that's what Lovey's main thing was. And I think that Flus defensively, as a defensive coordinator, has a lot of those traits.
What causes the voice to get stale outside of losing? Because it has to be deeper than losing.
Hold on, Darius. We want to hear from all the callers. We got a bunch of callers to get through here. So,
what's up, Chicago Sports Podcast? Vinny here from the South Suburbs. I wanted to say I'm a new listener. Love the show. You guys got a great vibe going. Just a bunch of regular guys talking sports. I love it. Anyways, question for you is, with the trade deadline coming up, what do you guys think the Bears are going to do? Are they going to stay put, or do you think they might go out and get an offensive lineman, maybe a DN, defensive lineman? Let me know, guys. Be listening. Thanks. Bye.
Me personally, I think they stay put. I don't even know who you would even go after at this point.
Somebody floated Carey to elevate for our OC, but not as far as a head coach goes. You know, I don't think they're going to make a Raiders move or a Saints move.
I don't see anybody getting fired. I don't see any coaches leaving. Not in the middle of the football season. So I just see them staying put. I don't see them moving.
Is that for all teams or just the Bears in general?
I just think for the Bears.
Okay.
I mean, there's guys. Didn't a head coach already get fired?
Yeah,
this morning, and like an offensive coordinator or something like that.
Dennis Allen did, and his interim got elevated, and I guess his interim was already 2-0, and then when he came in, he ended up being 0-7. So,
and the Jets head coach was fired earlier this
year. Luke Getsy was fired
OC
for the Raiders. Yeah,
Raiders.
Yeah, it does happen.
All right, here's another
I
good
don't see
one.
the Bears doing that though.
No, definitely not.
No.
Hey, this is Jim Miller, former Chicago Bears. Excited to see Jerry Azumah on the podcast tonight. What an athlete. This kid out of New Hampshire, terrific running back who Dick Duran converted to a defensive back. What a great return man as well, and a great teammate. So good to see Jerry Azumah is on the show, and I'm sure he's got plenty of, opinions about what is going on with the Chicago Bears. So, Jerry, hopefully you got an answer for them all, buddy. They got to turn this thing around. So good luck, and you guys have fun tonight.
Jim is great, man. Jim's great. Great teammate, great leader, great motivator. I actually worked alongside of him and did some TV stuff with him, and Jim's fantastic. Wonderful guy.
Yeah, when we're working live together there, Jerry, as we will hear shortly, he puts lipstick on a pig. If there's any sort of like issues with tech, he doesn't throw me under the bus and drive over back and forth. He seamlessly, and you've seen it, I'm sure you've seen it, he will pick up that fumble and take care of it himself, and you'll never hear about it. It's awesome. There's been a couple things where, like, you know, you got like 27 screens going at the same time and you'll get feedback. He'll run over and go turn one off. You know what I mean? He's awesome, dude.
Jim.
He's great. Yeah.
That's Jim.
Yep. So let's see here. Here's another guy.
So Brandon and Jerry Azumah, it's Joe Pastelnik right now. I'm actually in Buffalo right now, sitting at a bar, and I'm wondering why Josh Allen is so talented. He can throw people open that Caleb Williams couldn't do. And they have the most talented wide receiver core in Chicago right now, between Keenan Allen, between DJ Moore.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't understand why they can't do that. So please talk about it and let me know. Love you guys. Have a great podcast.
Well, Buffalo there for a long time, right? And how many divisional championships have they won over? They've won quite a few, right?
Yeah.
Back. You know, they have a system. They have an identity over there. Allen obviously is a really good quarterback. I love the way that they utilize his athletic ability. Not only is he a quarterback, but he can also run the football. They use him as an athlete. And I think that gets a lot of people off balance as well. They have a good mix between like run and pass. You know, they're able to hand the ball off. Their running back is able to be confident and get a lot of yards. And at the same time, even though he does take a lot of chances, I mean, he's a gunslinger. He's big, strong, powerful. He can knock people off when they jump on him. He's a big body guy. He didn't always start off that well. You know what I'm saying? He was not good in the beginning.
He was second in the league in interceptions just last year, guys. He was second in the league in interceptions just last year. He takes chances, like you're saying, Jerry.
But before all of that stuff, he just wasn't a good quarterback.
Yeah, not very accurate.
A lot of time, and they figured out how to utilize him to get the best production out of him.
Yep.
So I mean, it's not really a fair comparison to compare Caleb Williams
he's in
to him.
his 7th season.
Yeah. Caleb's played
in to just finish your 8th game. Yeah.
Right.
Almost.
So it's going to take
as many
some time.
seasons as games. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jerry, I did want that.
They also are a program that wins as well.
Yeah.
Jerry, I did want that coach DeBall. I wanted that guy over here.
Yeah.
Cool.
Dable, yeah, from he's with the Giants.
Yeah.
I wanted him too. When they went to hire, when they hired Flus, actually, I wanted Dable. Yeah. That was the guy I wanted. So I give it up.
Here's another good one. Scott Bridges from Bridges Scoreboard. You'll be up there December 22nd with Jim Miller. Here we go.
Hey, Chicago Sports Podcast and host Brandon Hyatt. This is Scott Bridges, owner of Bridges Scoreboard, one of your sponsors. Bridges Scoreboard, we're the #1 sports bar in Northwest Indiana. And we are really, really looking forward to tonight's show. Special guest, Jerry Azumah. We got Jerry coming out to Bridges Scoreboard on Sunday, December 22nd. We're really looking forward to having Jerry out, meeting our customers, taking pictures and signing autographs with them, and also hearing his thoughts on our Bears team, and hopefully we get this thing turned around and we're starting to play some better football and get that excitement back up there again for the Bears games on Sundays, and hopefully we're on a nice winning streak when Jerry comes up here. We've had some great crowds for our Chicago Sports Podcast, and we're looking forward to meeting Jerry and December 22nd, everybody, come on out. Bridges Scoreboard Restaurant, Sports Bar in Griffith, Indiana. Come out and meet Jerry Azumah Sunday, December 22nd, 11 a.m. pregame podcast, noon Bears kickoff, and Lions and Bears. So go Bears.
Nice.
Sounds like he just wanted to do a commercial, Jerry. That sounded like a good one too, man.
That was a hell of a commercial.
Yeah. All right. We got another one. I think this is the one about Swift, maybe. Hold on, because we got 2 ladies that called in for you, and none of them are your exes.
None of your exes? Okay.
At least that's what I screamed. Okay.
Debbie Wilbanks, Asheville, North Carolina. Why the fuck are they not running DeAndre Swift more?
Great
question.
Yeah, I mean, it's solid. I would love to know the answer to that too. We hear you. It's definitely received, and we're right there with you. They need to run Swift as much as possible. I think that the more that you run him, the better that he will be, and the better the offensive line will be. I think that kind of goes hand in hand. And like I've said, all through this pod, that it's all about running the football, and if they want to, establish an identity, I think that they can do that with running the football, getting guys after guys, and getting that ball running downhill. So I'm with you on that.
We need to send her to Hallis Hall to have a conversation with Matt Eberflus.
Let's get Eberflus on the line.
Yeah, let's go. All right, here's another one.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Sean Sierra from Sports Zone Chicago.
Sierra.
I wanted to leave a message for Jerry Azumah. What's up, Zoom? How you doing, man? Listen, I got a question for you. Why were you so adamant about not being happy about the benching for Tyreek Stephenson? Why were you against it? Did you not think that he deserved some consequences for his part? 1, not paying attention, and 2, allegedly, according to the coach, doing the wrong job and tipping the ball to the guy he was actually supposed to be boxing out. But did you think an apology was sufficient? That's all.
Yeah, I mean, look.
Your thoughts.
Yeah, I think that whole situation is just kind of very unfortunate. He should have been locked in for that last play. Obviously, he knows that, and he sent out that tweet like I think right after the football game, acknowledging that, and then he talked to several of his teammates and addressed the team right after that as well. So he understood what he did and the consequences of his actions and how those actions messed up the football game on the last play, and he was apologetic about that, but. He's also made a lot of plays too. You know what I'm saying? He probably hasn't been the best player at corner, but he doesn't have to be. He's made a lot of plays for this defense when it mattered. You've heard his name called several times when big plays needed to be done, and he's done those. So, I mean, looking at the locker room, he addressed the locker room. I think that that's good enough for me, and I think that if a lot of players kind of addressed that too, and they said that he apologized and it was kind of good enough for them. You need a guy like Tyreek on the football field. He's going to make some plays. He made some plays last week. You know what I'm saying? So, I think that benching him kind of sends the wrong message. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you have people that are standing on bad decisions.
Yeah.
So, I just think that it just kind of makes it makes for a bad situation moving forward. Like, I mean, if somebody makes a mistake, are they going to be benched for it?
Yeah, the precedent is that's yeah.
Like, where do we draw that line? So I think that he understood his actions right away, and he addressed it to the people that matter the most, which are in that locker room, and I think that that's sufficient.
All right, one more caller.
Yeah, that's a very good way to look at it, Jerry. I agree with you.
This is Cheryl Childers, and I'm going to let you know you've been spot on tonight on this program. All right, well.
She's saying you did a good job. You're spot on tonight on this program.
Okay, good.
Thanks, Cheryl.
We got two more questions for you, and then we'll let you go, man. Once again, we appreciate you. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe, leave a 5-star review. You all know what to do. Jerry, what was the inspiration for the Points with Jerry Azumah podcast?
You know what? A lot of people were just kind of asking me about like matchups, especially primetime matchups for like their fantasy football and stuff. And I was like, man, I kind of like talking about that. I can whip something up really quick. And that's what I really wanted to do. I didn't want to have like these long drawn out like podcasts about analyzing every little thing about a game.
Yeah.
And then also with sports betting is all over the place. People like to make bets and wagers and things like that. So I just kind of wanted to put something together that was a quick hit for primetime TV, for primetime matchups and games.
Yeah.
And I came up with the idea of, and I'm gonna bring out To the Points, the podcast. So it kind of keeps me close to the game of football, keeps me locked in, and then have some fun with some sports bets. Who doesn't like sports betting?
Right.
We all love that stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So I wanted to do something where I was addressing a need, and a lot of people like it. So I'm gonna continue to do it.
Yeah, I think you do a good job on there, man. And you did a good job on here tonight. One last thing we got to ask you, what's coming up on your show? What's next, man?
Whatever matchup is next. Okay. So I did Monday Night Football tonight. So Thursday Night Football should be a big one. And then obviously the Bears. I love talking about the Bears and their matchup and what they should or should not be doing. So I'm gonna keep it going. So you guys tune in.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, look forward to that Thursday nights. Bengals Ravens. That's going to be a
Bengals Ravens, man. That's going to be a big one.
Yeah.
What time are you on, Jerry? What time do your shows come on?
So I just kind of release it on Twitter.
Okay.
And then release it on the podcast. So they usually come out like around 1 or 2 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's To the Points. It's like between 2. It's about 2 minutes long.
Right.
And
then you're on YouTube too, right?
And then if I'm doing it with my boy Sam Brief,
he's
then
good.
We'll do a video.
Him. Yeah.
We'll do a video, and that probably will last about 10 minutes.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah. Can't wait to check it out.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you for joining us and spending so much damn time.
So much time.
You're very generous with your
talking
time.
football, baby. I love talking football.
You got shows that are 2 and 10 minutes long. We did probably about a year's worth tonight.
Now you owe me.
Yeah, I got you. I'm in your pocket.
Let us know.
Indeed,
All right,
indeed.
man. Thanks again, man. We appreciate you.
Man, thanks for having me on, guys. And it's a pleasure meeting you guys, man. Talking football is something that I love, and hopefully we can do it again.
Yeah, down here we actually got some other guys that have their own show. Bottom left, Brandon, and then top right, Dustin. They're on a show with me for tonight, obviously. And then before this show, they've got 4 stars. So they cook. They do some betting with Sean. Sean's really good at that betting.
Oh, see, there you go. See,
I've on him and I've paid some money, man. That underdog fantasy, I've won some money on that, man.
Yeah, 4-star Chicago sports, man. Yeah, check us out if you ever got the time. But I'll definitely be checking out your stuff and subscribing for sure. I didn't even know that it existed, so I'm glad we got a chance to meet you and find out about that. I'm sure it's great content. I'm looking forward to checking it out.
I appreciate that, Dustin.
Appreciate you, Jerry. Honestly, let me just say this real quick.
You, Jerry.
Let me say this, because like Brandon, me and you met at a warehouse. We were working next to each other, and we just started talking about sports. And one of the things we connected on was how much we love Jerry Azumah. I don't know if you remember this, but we talked because you were still playing at the time, man. And we were just talking about how you're just the funnest guy to root for on the team. You always came to play. You always had a great attitude, man. So it's just cool to be doing this interview with Brandon, interviewing Jerry Azumah.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have dreamed of being here for sure, man. You were one of my favorite players to watch. I always loved players, man, that excelled in the return game, because that just meant I love the idea of a guy just seeing the field straight, everybody coming in one direction, and you make the most of it, man. To me, that just takes a lot of elusiveness, and that's always fun to watch as a fan, for sure, man. And you were one of the best, especially for this organization, for sure, man. The Bears, it's a running joke that when special teams comes out on the field, you get to go to the bathroom or get a snack. And to me, it's like the Bears have always made that one of the most exciting aspects of the game, for sure. And you were a part of that, man. And that's crazy. Dustin's right. We're talking about that stuff 15 years ago, and here I am talking to you today. And Trax, I can't thank you more for the opportunity, for sure.
Yeah, hell yeah.
No problem, man.
Appreciate that, man.
You got to be in that spot. That's one thing that you can account for in life. That's one thing you can control: attitude and attendance. If you make it to the spot, you will be blessed with guys like Jerry Azumah on today's show. And that is so really cool to hear that story. I didn't know about that till live right now. That's pretty cool, man. That's pretty precious. We're all able to be a part of that, man.
Yeah.
Hey, Jerry, just really quickly, there was another guy that we had on, it was a couple months back, Brandon 𝐴𝐴mbadagio, and he actually, he actually gave me a hard time because he said that he still likes me even though I spell my name wrong. We had a good time, man, and I told him to keep his shirt on because he's making all us dads embarrassed, man. The guy's in.
Brandon was a beast. He was a beast. He was tough to deal with.
Another one of my favorites to root for at that time.
Yeah. 3-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
Like he was the real deal. Played at UCLA. Yeah, he was the man.
Yeah. All right, man. So Chi-Town up, bear down, and thanks everybody for joining us.
Bear down.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Been a pleasure.